Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Welcome everyone to our November 9th Zoom satsang presentation. And our first topic, God of Fear, God of Love. Subtitled, Love is the basis of worship in all Hindu denominations, expressed through bhakti yoga toward one's chosen deity. A 2013 Publisher's Desk. This Publisher's Desk is based on a discussion with a devotee we met while traveling in Dubai. The Publisher's Desk begins with details of this encounter. On a recent teaching journey, I met a man named Ravindran, who was raised in India but had lived in the West for many years. He had some lingering questions about beliefs he learned while growing up. In essence, Hindus in his locale feared that if they didn't regularly propitiate the deities of their village, the gods and goddesses would be upset and cause negative events in their life. Thus they were kept busy appeasing a multiplicity of deities on an ongoing basis, appeasing the beings that have been worshipped for generations. The basis of this type of worship is fear, specifically the fear that if we lapse in our ritual obligations, we will be punished in some way. How would you respond to Ravindran's statement? I assured Ravindran that the great gods of Hinduism do not live in a consciousness of wrath, hurtfulness, retaliation, or pettiness. They are beings of love and enlightenment, showering their blessings on each of us, regardless of our failings, frailties, and omissions. With this belief as its cornerstone, Hinduism is a joy-based religion in which we never fear the deity, never have the sense that God is punishing us or will reward us, or will regard us in a negative way if we do not perform our puja. Worship in its highest sense is an outpouring of love. God is love and nothing but love. Gurudeva affirmed, Hinduism is such a joyous religion, freed of all the mental encumbrances that are prevalent in the various Western faiths. It is freed of the notion of a vengeful God. It is freed of the notion of eternal suffering. It is freed from the notion of original sin. It is freed from the notion of a single spiritual path, a one way. Ravindran told me more about his village's beliefs. When negative events occurred, such as the death of a child, a flood, or a sudden illness, the elders looked for lapses in the mandatory rites, believing that the deities must be penalizing them for neglecting some aspect of the worship. He hoped that a better understanding of the nature of the gods would help overcome such superstition. Hindu philosophy teaches that the events in our life, be they positive or negative, are the result of actions we performed in past lives. A distressing situation is a self-created misfortune, not a punishment from God. Life itself, taking place within the realm of duality, is a playground of natural forces, classroom for embodied souls to experience joy and sorrow, elation and depression, success and failure, health and success, good times and bad. The divine beings who reside in the deeper realms of consciousness are always at the ready to assist embodied souls in their journey through samsara. Puja rituals are performed not to propitiate them or mollify their wrath, but to adore them and invoke their blessings and guidance. That's quite a big homa there. Ritual appeasement does have a scriptural purpose to protect against the negative energies and efforts of astral entities who actually do seek to upset the lives of embodied souls. Gurudeva taught that the best way to guard against such malevolent beings is to build positive spiritual force fields by invoking the protection of higher and more powerful benevolent beings, the gods of Hinduism. Astral entities are powerless where there is harmony, cleanliness, and close communion with the gods and their devas. On the same journey, a question came from a teenage boy, leaning forward in earnest, who asked, "Do I have to worship all the deities in the temple, or can I simply focus on just Lord Ganesha? I am finding that keeping a singular focus, I am getting much closer to him. I am beginning to form a connection in a way that I never had with any of the other deities." How would you respond to the teenage boy's question? I replied in the affirmative that it is fine to focus on just one deity. In fact, this is the pattern followed by most Hindus. However, it is only fitting to honor and acknowledge all the deities when in the temple. I shared, when attending puja to another deity, worship sincerely and show deep respect, but you need not strive to feel as close to that deity as you do to Lord Ganesha. In Sanskrit, the deity of one's most pious attention is called Ishta Devata, literally cherished or chosen deity. Vaishnavas may choose among many divine forms: Vishnu, Balaji, Krishna, Radha, Rama, Lakshmi, Hanuman, and Narasimha, as well as the Shalagrama, small river rock. Smartas traditionally choose their Ishta from among 6 deities: Shiva, Shakti, Vishnu, Surya, Ganesha, and Kumara, or any of their traditional forms. Shaktas who worship the divine as the goddess, Shakti, may focus on one among her many forms, from the furious Kali, the benign and graceful Parvati, or Ambika. Saivites direct their worship primarily to Shiva, as represented by the Shiva Linga, Nataraja, and Ardhanarishvara. Many Saivites choose Lord Murugan, also known as Kartikeya or Skanda, as their Ishta Devata. Gurudeva, staunch Saivite, taught us to worship Shiva as the supreme god, while starting with the worship of Lord Ganesha, who is the closest god to the material plane of consciousness, most easily contacted, and most able to assist us in our day-to-day life and concerns. In deepening our devotion to God, an analogy to friends is helpful. Teenagers have many friends, but it is common to have one best friend to share the personal details of life. Having an Ishta Devata is like that, and the feeling we should have toward that divinity is the same as the feeling we have for our best friend. Holding a singular focus helps us to draw closer and closer to that deity. Another approach to understanding the deity's compassionate nature, and in the process ridding yourself of any lingering fear, is to think of the god or goddess as the parent and yourself as the child. In fact, the deity is the perfect parent, because no matter what we do, she always sends us blessings and love. When we make mistakes, he never becomes angry or punishes us. The deity's love is perfect love, existing at all times, in all circumstances, for for all souls. In developing in closeness with the deity, we eventually discover and bask in that perfect love. Tirumandaram, written by the great Siddhar Tirumular, affirms this idea. The ignorant foolishly say that love and Shiva are two, but none of them knows that love alone is Shiva. When men know that love and Shiva are the same, love as Shiva, they ever remain. In giving talks on the topic of love of God, I often share the similarity of the Vaishnava concepts with the Saiva concepts. In the Chaitanya school of Vaishnavism, for example, bhakti is seen as progressing through 5 stages: neutrality toward God, servitude for God, friendship with God, parental feelings for God, and relating to God as a lover to the beloved. Saivism, there exists a parallel concept. Starts with neutrality. The next stage is called the Dasa Marga, with the soul relating to God as servant to master. In the next stage, Saputra Marga, our relationship with God is as a child to his parents. In the third stage, Sakha Marga, God is like a friend. And in the 4th stage of maturity, called Sanmarga, God is our dearest beloved. Both denominations emphasize the souls coming ever closer to God. Bhakti Yoga moves the devotee closer to God through these stages, ultimately instilling an intense love of God. Some common bhakti practices are Shravana, listening to the stories of God, Kirtana, singing devotional hymns and songs, Smarana, remembering the presence and name of the divine, includes mantra repetition, Parasevana, service to the holy feet, which includes serving humanity, Archana, attending ritual worship both in the temple as well as attending or conducting worship at one's home shrine, Vandana, prostrating to the deity, Atma Nivedana, complete self-surrender. Bhakti Yoga seeks to develop qualities that make communion possible, such as love, selflessness, and purity, leading to self-effacement and total surrender to God. It is in this idea of the need for total surrender, prapatti, that the members of all sects merge in oneness. We know that we have attained prapatti when we effortlessly know that everything that happens is due to the grace of God and not our own actions. There's no sense of fear in this mode of worship. In a letter he wrote to a young man, Paramaguru Yogaswami explained the unity perspective to be held not only toward God, but toward everything, which is the basis of Hindu worship. I am with you, and you are with me. There is no distance between us. I am you. You are I. What is there to fear? Look, I exist as you. Then what must you do? You must love. Whom? Everyone. To speak more clearly, your very nature is love. Not only you, but all are pervaded by love. But there is no all, for you alone exist. All are you. Very profound way of ending that section. All are you. And our second topic is the Path to Shiva series, which, as we know, starts with a question. What is Saivite Hinduism? Oh, a simple, short answer. What would you say? Saivism is the world's oldest religion. It worships God Shiva, the compassionate one. It's about as simple an answer as you can give. This is a slightly longer explanation. It stresses potent disciplines, high philosophy, the Guru's centrality, and the path of bhakti and Raja Yoga, leading to oneness with Shiva within. So it has that combination of bhakti and Raja, not just one or the other, which lots of traditions are just one or the other. Saivism is ancient, truly ageless, for it has no beginning. It is the precursor of the many-faceted religion now termed Hinduism. Scholars trace the roots of Shiva worship back more than 8,000 years to the advanced Indus Valley civilization. But sacred writings tell us there never was a time when Saivism did not exist. There are 6 schools of philosophy and tradition within Saivism. Saivasiddhanta, Kashmir Saivism, Pashupata Saivism, Veera Saivism, Shiva Advaita, and Siddha Siddhanta. They differ in many ways, philosophically, historically, linguistically, and geographically. Still, they share an overwhelming similarity of belief and practice. In addition to the Vedas, the Saiva Agamas are the shared scriptures of all 6 schools. All 6 identify Shiva as the Supreme Lord, both eminent and transcendent, worshipped as the personal Lord and realized through meditation as the absolute Parashiva, beyond all form. All hold these principal agamic doctrines. 1. The 5 powers of Shiva: creation, preservation, destruction, concealing, and revealing grace. 2. The 3 primary elements of existence: Pati, Pashu, and Pasha, God, souls, and bonds. 3. The 3 bonds, or malas: Anava, Karma, and Maya. 4. The threefold energy of Shiva: Icha, Kriya, and Jnana. Desire, action, and wisdom. 5. The 36 tattvas, or categories of existence. 6. The need for a Satguru and initiation. 7. The power of mantra. And 8. The 4 padas, or stages of spirituality: Charya, Kriya, Yoga, and Jnana, which in English are service, devotion, union, and wisdom. Third topic, quotes from Yoga Swami's Words of Our Master. Now I am sitting here. I am in England also. I am also in America. What does that mean to you? My thought, Yoga Swami was able to direct the ability of being omnipresent. In other words, he simply wasn't omnipresent. He could focus that ability and consciously be in different places at the same time. Next quote, electric waves are nothing compared with thought waves. The thoughts of others come and dash against me. What does that mean to you? It shows how our thoughts affect others. Even if they are unaware of the thoughts, they are receiving them. So when we think about other people, we're sending them thoughts, positive or negative. So we want to be careful not to send negative thoughts, because even though most people aren't aware of the thoughts that they're receiving, they do receive them, and it does affect their state of consciousness. We want to think positive thoughts about others. And the last quote, if you remain at the top, you will see no difference. You can preach Dharma only when you come down. If you remain at the top and see, everything will appear as one. That one always remains pure. Nothing can pollute it. What does that mean to you? What strikes me is that oneness, it's there all the time, but it's at the innermost or top levels of consciousness. So to experience oneness, that's where we have to go, to the most inner or the most highest, however we're looking at it. Levels of consciousness, and that's always in a state of oneness. Just have to learn how to move awareness to that location. Thank you very much. Oh.